again today, and today is a very, what I would say, a momentous moment. It is something that I always wanted to do, but Notting Hill Carnival, 60 years, has brought me to this point where I have the opportunity to introduce a man, radio presenter, record producer, um, everything in music that you could talk about. He has done it. He is someone who has been influential in my journey in music. I learned a lot from him, and a lot of people within the UK and around the world must have actually gained something from him. He has one of the most coveted compilation called Hot Vinyl 1 to 8. I have someone who has done the airways, whether it be BBC, whether it be Sky, whether it be local radio stations, and to this date he still contributes to the music, to calypso, he contributes to soca, he contributes to carnival, and he has paved the way for many of us, or many DJs, promoters in the UK, and not only just in the UK. He also has his fingers and his tentacles in the Caribbean, whether it be Barbados, St. Vincent, Trinidad. He is world renowned, and I have none other than introducing my special guest as we have the second endorsement of Straight Talk, Notting Hill Carnival, 60 years, Mr. Adrian Joseph Smokey Joe. I want to welcome him to the set.
Nice to see you, sir.
Good to see you, sir. Good to see you. How are you doing? You're looking fresh. You're looking fresh.
Because I got up early this morning. So let me put on my best face.
Put on your best face.
Yes.
Before I go deeply into it, let me say it's an honor to sit and have a conversation with you. And I know this is not going to be the first, and I know it's not going to be the last. We've had private conversation. We have an official recorded conversation.
Okay.
I want to say welcome to Straight Talk. You were one of the people who was instrumental in me doing and setting up this channel and documenting what takes place within our community. Today I want to look at your involvement in 60 years of Notting Hill Carnival, but I also want to touch on your contribution to the art form. Not just the music, but also Carnival. You have been an integral part of the blueprint that we now have to follow, the music trucks, you know, how we do it,
yes.
you know, getting sponsorship and things involved. Let me call you Smokey. Is it all right to call you Smokey?
Yes.
Right. Smokey, let me start from the beginning. How did you get involved in Notting Hill Carnival?
I came to the UK in 1963. My parents brought me, like a lot of parents, Caribbean people who came over here in the 50s, the Windrush generation. And I grew up with my grandmother in Trinidad. And in 1963, age of 13, she said, well, you've got to go and join your parents in the UK. So I came to London. And when you come to London, you try to fit in. But as you can see, with most of the Caribbean diaspora, or even the black community in the UK, you tend to drift to your own because you find that you try to be part of the community, but you realize that, you know, with all the racism and things that's going, it's better that you stick together with your own people and your own culture. Not only that, when you grow up in Trinidad is a very musical place. It's entertainment. I grew up in an area where down the road there was a steel band called Gondolas. A few doors down the road, come carnival time, there was in San Fernando, there was Wilkes Mass Band. So you're surrounded by music, musicians, and culture and art. So when you came over here, especially as I came in December, just before having to leave Trinidad Carnival, Trinidad is buzzing with Carnival, you know, projects.
Yeah.
And so when I got here, my parents settled in that Grove. When they came here, and then they moved to Fulham. So I just graduated and moved towards the whole community.
So I mean, Labrador is really the hub and the melting pot of Carnival, and still is recognized as the place for Carnival. So you would have been privy to that early development stage. You said you came here in '63. At that point, did you actually get involved? When I say, well, going out to Carnival, participating?
No, I didn't actually, but my dad and he was involved. He took the kids and things like my younger siblings down to the carnival. I started collecting records,
Yeah.
and so with your record collection, you tend to go to parties and everything. You have a record collection, in the 60s, someone having a party and they say, and before I was called Smokey, so it was Adrian, and my surname is Joseph, so everybody called me Joe. So everybody is like, Joe, bring a pile of records on and let's have a party. So we did. And I wasn't directly involved in Carnival, but I was in and about around the people at Carnival. I used to go to a place called the Adventure Playground in Lapper Grove, which was Rendlesham Road. I don't think the road exists anymore. But it was run by one of the people who worked there. It was a steel band, a very legendary steel band player by the name of Theo Stevens.
Okay.
And he came there and I wanted to learn to play the pan in the 60s. Although I changed my mind, I decided to become a DJ.
It was a challenge.
It was a challenge. But imagine someone on a Sunday trying to tune a pan in the middle of Lapper Grove, right? On a Sunday, at a time when racism and we as a community with all our cultural aspects wasn't really accepted in this country.
Okay, so you're saying the environment that you were in wasn't really accepting to Carnival.
Yeah, it was it was in development, but what happened with Theo is he had to go and drive out to Disused Airfield and near Rice to tune the pan on a Sundays. And so I drove along with him, freezing cold, didn't know what was.
And what time that was at the beginning? Oh, that was like 2 years, 3 years later? 64,
that was in
65?
Yeah, that's around about 65, 66, right? And the seeds were being planted for Carnival, as it were, right? And it was just beginning to take root. So, we were all involved in that part of it.
Okay. You got that opportunity to say, well, you know what, culturally, let me get involved and play pan. You found it challenging. So once you realize it's something that you didn't, or you wasn't willing to take on board as something you would move towards in the future, where did you head to next?
Well, I always loved music, so I was collecting records, a lot of soul records, reggae, and I started playing at private parties.
Okay.
And I was introduced to, in our early 70s, probably about, 71, 72, to Jeffrey Palmer, who owned a club called the Apollo Club in Willesden. At that time, the major black club in London, or in Europe, I would say, was a club called the Q Club in Parade Street in Paddington. But Apollo was in Willesden, and a legendary Jamaican artist by the name of Jackie Edwards, who saw me playing at the party one day, and he knew a friend of a friend. How the thing goes, right? Yeah. So he took me down and he introduced me, and Jeffrey said, "Okay, come down on a Thursday, play some music." So I became the DJ at the Apollo Club. So I found my forte, in other words, playing the records that I love buying, collecting in the club.
And so how that would have transcended to you getting involved in the production and selling, because at some point you started that whole production and sales of records.
Well, what happened was, so I got the name Smokey Joe was given to me by Jeffrey Palmer from the London Apollo Club, who owned the London Apollo Club. And I was also friends with a guy called Steve Barnard, who was the first black DJ on radio. He had a show called Reggae Time on BBC Radio London in the 70s. So he was working, he was a resident DJ at the Q Club.
Okay.
So when he was moving on, because he got a lot of gigs, I took over the residency from the Apollo, the residency at the Q Club. And I used to also go up on Radio London on a Sunday and hang out with him. So from there, the roots of Carnival was taking place, where there were designers with the pan round the neck in the early days. But then the Carnival itself, although I wasn't directly involved with it, it needed to get more people coming in, because a lot of the young people didn't see it as a party thing. They just saw
Okay.
all the old people from home going with their pan around the neck and having a bit of fun.
So it was shunned upon, for want of a better word.
Yes,
It was
yeah.
that old people thing.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
wasn't, yeah.
And then Leslie Palmer, around 1973, so had a vision of seeing the carnival as a bigger thing. So he introduced the sound systems,
Okay.
right? And remember, sound system culture was the nearest thing that we had to a black radio station, as it were, because on any given Saturday night you'd have about 500 sound systems playing in private parties
All over the place.
all over the place.
Yeah.
And so the music, which was mainly coming in from Jamaica, right?
With your involvement with the sound system, would that have influenced your introduction into Carnival itself?
Yeah, to very definitely a great extent, because I was a club DJ.
Yeah.
So I was working at Apollo 4 nights a week, and then when I got into Q Club, it was 6 nights a week, and I probably went into Q Club about 1974 or thereabouts. And at that time, you know, being a Trinidadian, Carnival come around, there's a buzz
Yeah.
in the air. So what we do is I would go around to the mass camps. Like Coquier had a mass camp in down in Labrador Grove.
Okay.
Right? So you had Coquier, one of the major mass bands. There was metronomes at their panyard, ebony panyard. So you took an interest in it, but remember, I'm still DJing at the nightclub.
You're still a club
DJ, so I had to go and do my job. But I was very parcel of helping, because we were still promoting Carnival as an event, right? And the sound systems brought, when they were introduced to Carnival, they brought the crowds.
Okay, so you're saying prior to the sound systems, your attendance level was somewhat weak.
Was weak, yes.
Okay.
You see, so there's a notion that sound systems shouldn't be involved in Carnival, which I disagree with totally. It's like you having an event that is not working, and then you bring me in.
It start to work, and then you get rid of
then
me.
you turn around and say to me, "Thank you very much, now clear off." You know, to put it bluntly. So you know, they were very they bought the crowds, and with the crowds, the Carnival evolved. So although the Notting Hill Carnival, as I tell people, is based on Trinidad culture, but it takes on a life of its own over here, where within the Carnival footprint you have sound systems. Then on the route you have the floats. With the pans and everything, so it caters for everybody.
What was your first introduction, i.e. to, let me say, being a part of what Carnival is? I.e. be it playing on the road, I.e. pushing pan, I.e. playing mass. What was your first? Because remember, now you're a club DJ. Sort of kind of looking in to some extent, understanding what Carnival is, but not actually involved.
Yeah, well, I mean, you go down to Carnival and you take a jump up with the band, right?
Oh, that was it for you. Yeah.
First involvement. And then with radio, people come along and say, "Smokey, if you're doing radio work, right, help me promote it," because I started doing different radio stations in the early 80s. Those pirate stations and things, you know?
Yeah.
Well, what we call pirate stations, community stations, right? So we were promoting Carnival as an event.
Yeah.
In that time, and what really happened was selling records. Eddie Grant started that whole selling record thing, as far as I remember.
So Eddie Grant started it, or that is what Eddie Grant encouraged you to get involved?
No. He started it. Under the flyover, Eddie. He had released a number of records on Ice, the Ice record label, for especially stuff that was produced by Rose and Charles in New York. So he released that. He released some Calypso Rose, Trinidad Bill. He released Sugar Bum Bum.
Okay.
And because getting soca record, I won't say it was difficult to get hold of, but you know, crowds, most of the shops didn't see it as viable to put it on the shelf.
Viable business.
As a viable business, you know, especially, say, even the Caribbean shops, you know. So he went down in the Carnival and he started selling from the back of a truck.
Okay, at Carnival.
At Carnival, you know.
But how you would achieve that? You don't have.
You set up a sound system, and you're playing in the back under the flyover, and they were selling records like rain. Right, because people couldn't get them. And then when that stopped, his brother Rudy In the meantime, I got involved into the whole production business, which is another part of my career. Right?
Yeah.
So, to fill you in with that, so I knew Eddie, and he used to come in Q Club and everything, and he built a studio called the Coach House Studio in Stamford, in East London, right?
Yeah.
Stamford Hill, Stoke Newton area. And I said I wanted to be a producer. He said, look, you want to do this thing? Come down. If it's quiet in the studio, you could come and use it. Get your musicians, basically. You know, I played his records in the club, and you know, he just encouraged me.
Yeah.
And so there was a guy, a drummer. The first record I did was with a friend of mine called Honey Boy, a reggae version of Sound of Silence. Didn't have a clue what I was doing in the studio, but you know, I was guided along with the engineer, which was Frank Agarat, a very famous engineer in Trinidad at the time. He was over here. And also, I also recorded a guy by the name of Mel Gaynor, a drummer, with a kind of funky track tune that he wrote. Mel then went on to become the drummer of one of the biggest rock bands in Europe called the Simple Minds in the world, right? So that was my beginnings. So I got into the record industry. Now, when I produced these records, I needed a distribution in America. So I went to a guy called Rawls and Charlie's Records in New York. And he took my tune, but he was more interested in getting me to release product and produce soca music in the UK. So that's how I got involved in producing it. So he gave me some stuff to release. So we started all of that. Rudy Grant, Eddie's brother, going back to Carnival now, decided like, okay, Smokey, you got a load of stuff here, we got a load of stuff here. We can't work under the flyover, so we got stalled on All Saints Road in Carnival, selling records. So that's how I really got deep into the Carnival.
Deep into the Carnival now, because now you're starting to be in the presence of Carnival.
Yeah, so we were selling on All Saints Road, you know, and of course there's all the so-called riots and disagreements with the police. Right, let me put it that way. And that got really hairy. I mean, that was ram-packed, you know, on the road.
So with that, once you had established, now you're now producing, and you're now selling. So you set up shop now. You're starting to sell records. We know you would have had in Clapham TJ Records. We know you would have been in Shepherd's Bush Market at some point in time as well. You're in Carnival now. Did you play with a band? Did you put a band on? What went on then?
No, at that time, so we had TJ Records, which was my brother Terence Joseph, TJ Records. He opened a record shop in Hackney, right? On Clarence Road, right next to Pembury Estate, which was a very, very, how do I call it, regarded as a place you don't go. Notorious, right? So Terence opened the shop there. Then my sister opened the Virgin TJ Records in Fulham. So we had two record shops in effect.
And we were supplying them with
we were bringing in soca records from J&M, which was Gypsy's wife. J&M One Stop in New York. Charlie was sending us stuff. The other person that was releasing the records was Sonny Roberts at Overtone Records. He was there before me, and when it comes to pressing records, truth be told, you know, you have to get the facts right.
Was in Halsden.
Yes.
In Halsden.
And Wilson, no, not in Halsden, that was in Wilsden, just
I think
near Park
Craven
Royal.
Park, Craven Park,
No, Craven Park was Jetstar.
But Overtone was there at some point in time.
Afterwards.
Okay.
But before here, he was initially in Wilsden. Anyway, so Overtone, Sonny Roberts was actually the guy with the first recording studio in the UK.
So what happened once you established that whole record thing? You would have now gone to Carnival. Because I remember my recollection of you at Carnival was Cocaine. And that was, I'm talking, I think Clary was designing or whatever at that time. That was.
So what happened with that is how I got into Carnival in playing on the road was, so we had the stall selling records on All Saints Road. Then we moved to, I said to Rudy, you know, this has become really congested now because now the Carnival's got popular, it's packed. So we moved to Trillick Towers on Kensal Road, which is a quieter spot.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, not quiet anymore.
No. But we were told to, how it was. Then the authorities came along and said, you need a license to sell records.
Ooh.
So I'm like, I need a license. I said, okay, give me one. Pull out my money. You know?
Yeah.
No, it'll take you 3 months to get a license. So we had to shut that down. And Dexter, who know me as a DJ, said to me, come and play records for Cokie in the road. And that's how I came on the road as a DJ for Cokie.
Oh, so your initial introduction to the road for Carnival was with Dexter, Cokie, Cokie band.
Yeah, he was the first.
And that was what year? You're looking what? Ooh. 88, 87?
Yeah, probably around that time.
Around there, because I think Clary was designing for them.
Yeah.
At that point.
And then before they went on to Wayne Barclay.
Yeah, I know they went on to Wayne Barclay at some
there was,
point.
There was a lot of, Dexter went through a lot of stages with different people. At one point, he had Peter Menchel in the early days.
Yeah.
You know, so
I think that's where the transition took place with Clary. I think it was Peter Mitchell. I think Clary, if I'm not wrong, and I stand corrected, Clary is an understudy of Peter Minchell to some extent. In the artistic sense, the way you see her works and Peter Minchell works is on more or less within the same vein, if not same.
So from what I gather, Peter Minchell was actually, I won't say discovered, when the Carnival people wanted to bring costumes into Carnival in the early days. They couldn't find anybody, and he did some work for the Jamaican High Commission.
Okay.
And they introduced him. They said, why don't you try this guy, Peter Minchell?
Yeah.
So that was the beginnings of as far as I recollect.
So you worked with Cokie for a number of years. You were the main DJ with Cokie for
what I did was I set up, Cokie called me and they wanted me not just to play on the road. They had a bank holiday Monday event.
Yeah, remember
so,
that.
Dexter said, well, come and DJ at this place, Swiss Cottage. Right? I said, I got in there and I said to him, Dexter, this equipment you're using here can't work. And he looked at me. So I then called in some professional guys in the sound system thing, basically Winner Roadshow, Chris Sweeney. I said, I need some equipment in here. And so we got in a good set, started sounding good, people were coming along. And then I decided to set up the Smokey Joe Roadshow because I'm producing records. The only DJs, soca DJs we had was Lord Sam, who were the pioneers. Lord Sam, Shadow Hi-Fi, Black Patch.
And these are the guys who were playing on the road at the time.
Yeah, and Mangrove Fats was one of the guys. There was also another setup called China Funk.
Yeah, I remember China Funk.
Right? But so these guys were there, as the initial people who pioneered the whole soca DJ movement, I mean, I'm giving credit for a lot of it. Then there was Soca Massive on the scene as well. He's been around for a bit. So what I decided to do was to create, as a producer, we didn't have enough soca DJs. So I said, you know what? I created the Smokey Joe Roadshow as a platform for young DJs to get a chance to play.
But
and I did that in Cokie.
You did that in Cokie. So that roadshow that you create, that would have been that would have been at the, you mentioned Swiss Cottage, you mentioned the bank holiday, but kind of sticking with the 60 years and the transition of Carnival, you would have now moved those guys not from the venue and move them onto the road. So the birth of a lot of the DJs that are playing on the road now would have come through. The main core of it would have come through you joining up with Cokie, then deciding, listen, we need to get all the DJs together, creating the Smokey Joe Roadshow.
We use it as a platform to introduce young DJs. That was the whole purpose of it. And it worked.
It worked.
But we went from 30 people in Swiss Cottage to 2,000 people
in Bromyard
and Camden, in different venues.
So the road aspect of it on Notting Hill Carnival, from the time you work with Cokie for a number of years, and if recollection serves me right, at some point you seem to be an entity on your own on the road because the band now, it got big, and I think you went on to start doing your...
Well, one of the things that happens in Carnival it's out of one band comes another.
Comes many,
It's an
yeah.
evolution, right?
It
In
constantly
Trinidad all
evolving, yeah.
around, you know, everybody says you get an idea. Cokie, I would say, has spawned about 10 bands,
Okay.
you know?
Yeah, yeah.
And I was working, and then we decided, okay, my sister and they said, let's put a band on the road. So we went and formed
Just like
Arawak.
that?
you
Just
know.
like that?
Well, they wanted to try different ideas in terms of costumes
Yeah,
and
yeah.
things. And they say, you know what, we'll do it. I said, okay, let's do a band. So we did Arawak.
Okay.
But we didn't make costumes over here.
Yeah.
What I did, we contacted Legends in Trinidad,
That's
which was
Mike
run by
Antoine.
Big Mike, Mike
Yeah.
Antoine,
Yeah,
Big
yeah.
Mike. They later became Legacy. So we got our costumes designed and made in Trinidad by Big Mike.
Okay.
And they were shipped over here.
And that would have been your
And we
part,
brought,
yeah.
so we brought the Pretty Mass into London.
So how from then till now, how you feel Carnival has actually changed in the sense of what it is today?
I don't think it's progressed a lot simply because, first of all, to put a music truck on the road in Notting Hill Carnival now, you need at least £20,000. That's the cost. That's the reality, right? In order to get £20,000, you can't make a profit on costumes, and bands are not selling enough costumes to make that profit. So it's a struggle every year. People do Carnival for the love of it. They don't make any money.
So that is the reality,
reality
for people like us who is spectators or participants.
Yeah, and the trouble
who
is
participate in Carnival.
The trouble is that, and I say this without any apology, corporate Britain, I will go to your shop and spend my money, but you don't spend your money with me. You know, that's the thing. You know, I feel corporate Britain could support us a lot more.
That is a challenge, because when you saying if you had to find 30,000 pounds
Yeah,
to
exactly.
put on a band,
Recently,
and you don't
what
have
I did
corporate
was,
sponsorship.
recently when I put the Smokey Joe Roadshow band, because out of Arawak came me, because then me and my sister,
So it evolved.
it evolved, you know, and I put Smokey Joe Roadshow on the road. But what I did was, I was approached to have Love Music, Hate Racism, right?
Okay.
And you know, I think you introduced me to them. Yeah.
Yeah. I think memory
Yeah.
serves me right here is
Yeah.
about 12 plus years ago. Yeah. I
Yeah,
think,
and what happened? They were a reinvention of the Rock Against Racism in the 70s.
Okay.
And so, remember, Carnival is a protest in a lot of ways,
Okay.
right? So,
Peaceful, fun protest.
yes,
Yeah.
exactly. So when they approached me, they wanted a presence of Carnival at Carnival.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I told them, listen, I don't mind your presence,
Yeah.
but you can't go down the road waving banners, and it's not
Yeah.
a political march
Yeah.
or thing, right? So you can make your statement with your presence and your t-shirt. So we put up the banners, and people say, what are you doing? I mean, a lot of people said to me, Smokey, you're taking a big risk with this. And I said, no, we're making a statement.
Yeah.
You know, in other words, as Stalin was saying, a Calypso, stand up for something or die for nothing.
Right.
You know, and we have gone through so many processes in this country where we have to fight for every single thing that you want.
Yeah.
I mean, look, even on radio, I did 6 years. I was at BBC London for my own show,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Now, I'm thankful for that, because there's 300 ethnic communities in London.
Yes.
As a Trinidadian, I got my own radio program on BBC Radio London. But as long as I've lived here, my accent is still very Trinidadian.
Trinidadian.
And I'm not changing it.
You're
You know?
not changing it.
And people say, well, Smokey, you sound real Trinidadian. I say,
Yeah,
well,
but
I am
you
Trinidadian.
wasn't only on BBC, you was on WNK
Oh, yeah, I did.
at the early
I
stage
did a
as well.
lot of radio stations. In fact, the first one of the biggest ever pirate stations was one called JFM in the early 80s.
Okay.
And, you know, all these pirate stations or community stations.
But WNK wasn't a pirate station.
No,
it
they
was a
got
shared
license.
frequency with a Greek station.
Yeah, so what happened with that was, just to fill you in, so JFM on all these stations, Horizon and
Yeah.
everything, they were getting such a massive audience, and they sort of the commercial stations would say we were stealing their advertising, right? We were undermining them, and we're saying you're charging £2,000 for a slot advert, say on Capital Radio,
Yeah.
and we're charging like 50 quid.
Yeah.
You know, so we're not undermining you. So the government said, okay, if you come off and make an application, we'll give you a license.
Right. Okay.
So that's how Choice got their license and WNK got their license and everything.
Yeah, yeah.
So we shut down, but
And
of course,
rebrand and
everybody,
reword,
yeah. Yeah, and then he ended up with Kiss, Choice, and all those stations.
For the people who would say that Carnival is the narrative is somewhat a violent place and doesn't contribute to society, what would be your answer to that?
Well, first of all, one crime is one crime too many.
Yeah.
In my words, but we do not live in a perfect world. In a perfect world, there will be no crime.
Yeah.
Right? What you're saying to me is, it is not violent. Yes, there's crime, but of all the festivals, all the public events throughout Europe, Notting Hill Carnival has got the least crime. I remember one time in a police meeting, the police said to me, privately, a policeman, said to me, you know, there's more crime in Wimbledon than there is in Notting Hill. And I was shocked, like, you know, it depends your definition of crime, but there's more crime in Wimbledon than there was in Carnival. So you will target us with this all the time. But, you know, we're not condoning crime, but we're not the only thing that has crime. Crime, there's football, hooliganism, every public event has crime. So,
my experience of Carnival has been a really safe place for me.
It's safe, very,
and we're
very
talking
safe.
about Carnival.
Yeah.
Carnival where the floats go wrong and the costume go wrong. You understand me? I'm not sure outside on the outskirts what people are actually doing, but generally between the sound systems and Carnival, it is actually peaceful.
It's a very good, it's a celebration. It's a release valve.
Yeah.
Carnival is a release valve. You know, people come out. There's a lot of people. Not everybody can afford to go in an upmarket wine bar and pay £8 for a glass of wine.
Yeah.
Right? Or go and drink £10 for a pint of beer.
Yeah.
Right? People who will get their six-pack. I'm not promoting alcoholism or anything, but it's an escape. And everybody, we're not saying Carnival is based on Caribbean culture, but it's for everybody.
Yeah. It's inclusive.
Right? It's inclusive of everybody. And this is what people have to understand. We get tired with all this. It's like the first thing people say to us is, look, because I remember I went into a discussion on air with this, right? Where the councillor came in and said, oh, it cost us $5 million to clean up the carnival at that time. And I said, well, hold on a minute. You owe me 15 million. And everybody looked at me like, what rubbish you talking about? And I said, well, hold on. Carnival, at that time, this was about 15 years ago, right? I said Carnival generated 100 million. 20% of that is VAT, so it means the government has just made 20 million out of our event. You spend 5 million to clean up, you owe me 15 million. Right? And that's a maths, you know? See, people always see what it costs.
But they don't see what it generates.
But what it generates, the amount of money the Carnival generates, employment, everything, right? You know, for those who are saying the government is wasting money, that's a load of rubbish. You just don't want it, you know?
So the reality is that Carnival is a money spinner.
It's making money.
It's making money.
If it wasn't making money, could you go and tell, I don't know, allied breweries who are selling 10 million or how many million? You've got 2 million people passing through Carnival. Assuming that everybody drinks
a beer,
a dozen can of beer. You're going to lose that amount of sales
in one given weekend.
In one given weekend. You're going to tell them that. They're going to like, hold on, brother. You know, you're going to get the old boy next who will come in and say, listen, cool it down, you know.
What would you change about Carnival as it is now? Is there anything you would change? In the sense
I think Carnival needs, I won't change anything because maybe the route could be expanded. Because I think the Carnival in the early days, the route was bigger.
And you think by expanding the route, because I'm starting to kind of try to read your mind, although I'm not a mind reader. You think congestion, it deals with congestion.
It's congested, but you know what?
So that is one of the things.
It's just management.
You're
going to take a good look at management. The other thing I would try and do is get people to say, hold on, participate in Carnival.
Participation,
anticipation. You got bands, you want to jump behind a truck, right? It's costing us money to put a truck and go and buy a costume.
Buy a costume, whether it's be a
Or if
costume,
not,
costume,
yeah.
t-shirt,
Whatever.
and also
Take
introduce
part.
your kids there.
Yeah.
Introduce the kids.
Yeah.
Because it's a fun day for kids.
Yeah, without a doubt. You know, there's so many things. I mean, you've got to really think carefully about how you could approach it. But taking out the whole propaganda about violence and this and that
Yeah, yeah.
in Carnival. In fact, it's a great release valve. People have a lot of fun, right?
Yeah.
It's just, okay, it's become very popular. Any other country in Europe who had an event that took off that big will embrace it.
Yeah, yeah.
This is the only country that doesn't.
So you believe there's a lot more that could be done. Looking at it now, 60 years now. We're saying 60 years of Notting Hill Carnival, 2026. That is what that's the conversation, and we looked at your involvement and input. In regards to events, how you feel the events married in with Carnival? Because my recollection is that there used to be a lot of events taking place around Carnival. Is there a reason why there is so much less events now?
I think everything is down to the financial factors, you know?
Okay.
Artists are demanding, or not demanding, they're asking
For the just work.
for the just work now,
Yeah.
right?
Affordability is...
Caribbean artists who are very popular, have a very popular song,
Yeah, yeah.
right? They demanding £15,000 to come to the UK
Yeah, to
for
the
a show,
Yeah,
which
yeah.
is a lot of money. Promoters can't afford that. On the other hand, the product of Carnival, like soca music, which I produce,
Yeah, yeah.
I can go and play reggae, I can play soul, I can play anything.
Yeah, yeah.
But we need an outlet. We need a radio station dedicated to Caribbean music, personally, on a
Personally.
national basis.
All right, but that doesn't only promote the music; it also have the conversation about Carnival, and a conversation that is holistic and not one-dimensional. Because mainstream radio, my perception is that mainstream radio sells a narrative that doesn't necessarily support Carnival. Do you agree with that, or not?
The thing is, you need mainstream radio to play your music,
Yeah, yeah,
right? I remember I did Dollar Wine, I produced Dollar Wine.
yeah, yeah.
Well, not me produced it, it was
Yeah.
produced by Eddie Young, Colin Lucas, and in Trinidad. I handled it over this side
Yeah.
of the fence, right? And when we went up to Radio 1 with the track, they said, oh, this could be, it's a summer song, right? So we have two songs that we could choose from to play for the summer.
Yeah.
One was Dollar Wine, the next one was I'm Too Sexy for My Car, right? Said
Okay.
Fred. So,
Right,
you-
said Fred. Yeah.
yeah, so you know which one they played. Now that kind of thing is like, I don't see why you couldn't play the both.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But they will push a specific song.
Yeah.
And the choose
A
right
narrative,
said
you
Fred.
know.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like Radio 1 at one point used to say, I mean, I've been in radio, I've had a good relationship with the BBC,
Yeah, yeah.
BBC Radio London, and everything. But, you know, people, independent musicians, now you hear nothing but dance music on radio.
Yeah, yeah.
But I remember a time when they said we don't play dance music.
Okay.
Independent guys who play and making dance music, we're pressing their record, they're manufacturing, they're spending their time in the studio.
Yeah, yeah.
Musicians, young, very talented musicians. But we have the battle at that time. Now the whole thing has changed, of course. You've
Yeah.
got social media, you've got everything. But,
So realistically, you think Carnival needs a voice for itself,
yep.
and that is lacking and has been lacking for some time
Yeah.
now. I think is one of my mantra. Smokey, let's stick a pin there.